Welcome everyone to this brand new series where we delve into life's most interesting questions. Today's topic of interest is, why do dogs pant? Those of you who are dog owners, myself included, and even those of you who are not, know that dogs are always panting. Whether it's a hot day or the pupper just came inside from playing a nice game of fetch, it's not a rare occurrence to see a dog pant. But why is it the dogs seem to labor themselves to pant when they are already hot and tired? The dog is actually working hard panting to cool itself down. Panting can occur due to some other reasons which we'll get into later in this video, but the most common cause of panting is the dog is instinctually trying to keep its body cool. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, your dog is always trying to stay cool. Well, maybe not like that, but you get the point. Some of you might be wondering, well, why don't the dogs just sweat like humans? I mean, sweating is how humans regulate heat, so why don't dogs just do that? Well, here's why that's not quite possible. When the human body is exposed to an external heat source such as the sun or an internal body heating due to exercise, our body's core temperature begins to rise. When the core temperature increases high enough, the nervous system within the body is alarmed. When this quote-unquote alarm goes off, droplets of sweat that are contained in the pores of the body slowly begin to be pushed to the surface. The water droplets on the surface have a tendency to spring up into the air if given enough energy. Well, where does this energy come from? The heat from the body. So as the body heat is dispersed into the water droplets on the skin, the water eventually evaporates into the air and removes heat successfully from the body. As long as the air is dry and not humid, the sweat will work effectively to cool the body. But as sweat evaporates, the local air becomes humid with the newly added water vapor. By moving the air, new dry air can move in and absorb more sweat. This is the basic concept behind a fan. This is also why you seem to sweat more in drier climates like a big open desert, and on the contrary, it's why you feel like you sweat less when in a humid tropical area. But enough about humans, you're all here for the more important topic, dogs. Now unfortunately, dogs cannot sweat because they don't possess enough sweat glands that us humans have all over our bodies. Dogs do have some glands located on their paws, but there's not enough surface area along the pads of the paws to house enough sweat glands to be effective. Humans can have anywhere from 2 to 4 million sweat glands to sweat effectively, and that's because they cover the entirety of our bodies and not just the bottoms of our feet like a dog would have. This is why a fan will not be nearly as effective at cooling down a dog as it will be for a human in the heat. Because dogs don't need to evaporate sweat off their bodies, the fan will not serve much use in cooling down the dog. However, the air close to the skin of both dogs and humans heats up due to the proximity of the heat of the body, and a fan will exchange this localized hot air with cooler outside air, providing some cooling, but for the most part, dogs do not feel the coolness of a breeze like we do. It's an interesting concept to consider as dogs love to feel the breeze with their head out the window of a car. But because sweating is not possible for dogs, dogs pant. Panting is the rapid inhalation and exhalation of air. More specifically, panting is the rapid inhalation of the cool outside air and exhalation of the hot air from the lungs. Slowed down to show in more detail here, as the dog's body's core temperature begins to rise, our dog will first inhale the cool outside air filling his or her lungs. The air is processed by the lungs, and in that process the gas inside the lungs heats up. Upon exhalation, the hot air is expelled along with the added heat that it took out of the dog's body. Though if the outside air is too hot, then panting is relatively ineffective for dogs. With a core body temperature of around 101 to 102.5 degrees Fahrenheit, dogs will only cool off from panting if the air they are breathing is below that temperature. Dogs can also gain some cooling from the same evaporative cooling mechanism of sweating, using the saliva in their mouth and on their tongue. As they pant, the saliva evaporates from their mouth and tongue, providing some cooling to the body. But if your doggo is having a hard time with the heat and is panting heavily, a nice swim in a cold pool or lake can also do the trick to cool the pup down. Although it is the most common reason, heat is not always the cause for panting. Emotional responses such as excitement or stress can trigger panting. In addition, it could be a sign of pain or discomfort. If your pupperino has not been exposed to hot climates, exercise, or any emotional stimulus and continues to pant, it may be a good idea to consider if the dog is in any discomfort. Well, there you have it. That's why dogs pant. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and feel free to comment below what you thought. Have a good one.